If you look at the past 15 years as social video platforms have emerged, there's almost become these two worlds. There's become the creator economy in the social media universe, and then on this other side, there's the large media companies. And there has been this like the two shall not meet kind of thing. I would love for media companies to find a way to bridge that gap, to pull that in.
All right, here with John Peters from Accenture. So John, you just gave a talk, Only the Radical Survive. What do you mean by radical?
Well, what we are talking about with media clients these days is about reinvention. The industry is changing. The ways of working that they have today won't allow them to survive or thrive in the future. So we think about reinvention. And when we evaluated a number of different options for reinvention, we measured low, medium, high, and radical reinvention. And by that, we meant the extent to which they are changing the markets, changing the consumers that they serve, changing their business models, changing the value chain role they play, changing the industries they compete in. So to the extent that someone is changing on those dimensions, we are calling them radical if they are going to the extreme in making those changes.
And how does Accenture's partnership and interest in Vue and virtual production, how is that tied into being radical, and what options open up for companies and Vue?
Yeah, we love Vue. They're a partner of ours. They are someone which we have a very special relationship. Our clients are needing to change the way in which they create content, but all of our clients are changing the way in which they are speaking to their consumers. So we see virtual production as enabling both changes in content for primary media companies, but also for any advertiser who is thinking about wanting to create incredible conversations with their consumers, that the Vue technologies enable advertisers to continue to progress on that. But here's something that we didn't see coming when we established our relationship. The space here at Vue, with the large screens and the ability to do virtual production, also creates an opportunity for us to bring our clients in and to have much more immersive environments for innovation, for thinking about and brainstorming ways in which they can change themselves. What's the way in which that's done today? Let's all go to a conference room and we'll use some Post-it notes. Mm-hmm. It's been successful, but these days, with the challenges they face, we need them to be able to find a space where they can unlock even bigger thinking. And so what's really been exciting is bringing clients to a Vue space and conducting innovation sessions here in a way that's really, again, it brought more expansive thinking, and that leads to increased opportunities for them to change the way they operate and grow value for their company, shareholders, and for, of course, their consumers.
And when you say clients, are these media and entertainment clients, or are these clients across all industries?
As it relates to using Vue as a space for innovation, that could be any client, right? That does not need, the innovation sessions themselves are not necessarily always about virtual production. It's using this immersive environment that Vue has for individuals to both sit in a room that can actually put them into a living room of the future, put them into a retail store of the future, put them into a factory floor of the future. And when you're there, you can rethink, how do we get work done?
Mm-hmm. Sort of like a holodeck, like you can be in this virtual space that you're planning or thinking about or analyzing.
That's a great example.
There was you were giving examples from a report that Accenture just published about consumer preferences. Two stats that stood out, or the one that really stood out, was 59% of people said that user-generated content was equally as entertaining as traditional media. So what do you think about that stat, and what do you think that kind of says about the future of the creator economy and kind of where media creation is going?
Yes, it's surprising, and it depends on who you are in the media and entertainment landscape, how you might react to that number. If you are a platform for social video, or if you are a participant in the creator economy, you should be encouraged by that statistic. You should feel like the democratization of these platforms and the enabling entertainment technology that people like Vue are making is allowing you to create content that consumers that can compete with the likes of the biggest media companies. If you are someone in the value chain who is, a traditional creator of film and television content, that should be a challenge, and that should be regarded as something that creates urgency to think about the way in which you want to compete. There have been times in the past where filmmaking technology has come down in cost. A lot of studios responded to that by, using technology to create even more engaging, incredible experiences, right? Embracing special effects more and more, right? Very few people could put on a Marvel level film experience. And so one aspect might be running up the path of innovation to use these more and more and to stay ahead, so to speak. If anyone can create something that has beauty and quality of the level that people are happy with today, how can you go even further? And so I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of that.
If you are a legacy media company, how do you feel that what do you feel like would be a radical move if you, with this growing rise of people being into creator-led content, the creator economy? It's not my favorite term, but basically, is it a strategy like Amazon just made a deal with Mr. Beast to produce a show? Is it more like acquiring YouTube channels? Is it sort of blending the line of what we consider creator economy and traditional media? What's the radical future?
Those are viable options, but again, we might think about a range of different things that they might do. Certainly, the example of Mr. Beast would be sort of almost in the lines of a traditional move, which is you see someone who's an incredible artist and you strike a content deal with them. That's been done for ages. The other might be what you're saying is, could you launch a channel on these platforms? I do like the idea increasingly moving into the space of call it user-generated content, for lack of a better word. If you look at the past 15 years as social media platforms, social video platforms have emerged, there's almost become these two worlds. There's become the creator economy in the social media universe, and then on this other side, there's, I think someone once called it the corporate creator universe. There's the large media companies, and there has been this the two shall not meet kind of thing. I would love for media companies to find a way to bridge that gap, to pull that in. Here's an example. You're watching sports or you're watching the Oscars. Something amazing happens. What do? You go over to the social platforms and say, did everybody see that? Right? You engage with the rest of the world.
The flood of memes coming in of that moment, yeah.
Right. You are going to the other platforms to, call it, further discuss the thing you saw over here. And that brings monetization outside of your universe. I would love to see how they can integrate that. And examples might be watching a sports program. Can they enable more social exchange on the platform? So I'm watching ESPN tonight. Something incredible happens. I can, inside of ESPN, blast to all of my community this incredible thing that LeBron just did, right? And people come back to inside of the ESPN platform to, exchange their thoughts on it. Can we bring some of those network effects and that engagement creation that comes from social platforms into the legacy platforms? Just an idea, and there might be way more better ideas than that. Here's another one. If you look out onto the web, you see incredible amounts of what we might think of as fan fiction. What are they doing? They are engaging with legacy media's IP. And there's been a great deal of concern around allowing people to write their own stories because it's difficult to curate, and you certainly wouldn't want someone to do something that affects the brand or how we think about any of the incredible characters that have been created. But that fan energy in love and engagement and even further creativity, is almost lost to the it's called social platform, and you're not able to. I'd love to find some way to channel that, right? Give them a space where they can have
this,
all
fandom,
Yeah, just a good example from several years ago was a platform called Wattpad. Wattpad started off as a self-publishing platform. So people were writing books and they'd put it on Wattpad. And then there would be a book that was popular and they would create, think of it as a franchise, 3 more books, right? And people would be coming back and people would be engaging and reading. And that platform was able to track and see what stories were popping. And so the owners of that platform were really smart. They talked to the writers, they optioned their content, and then they went over to Netflix, for example. And, there's a number of Netflix originals that have come from Wattpad writers. And so what does this do? Think of it as a farm system for incredible ideas. And you're channeling their energy. So you get all of the, whether it's subscription or advertising benefit of them being in there, you get their energy of coming back and this network effect. And then at the same time, you might be getting some incredible stories that then you can empower those creators to bring that story out to the lovers of that franchise. So that's a way in which we might think of crossing the divide between this sort of corporate creation and creator economy.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the future and what this brings. And thanks a lot, John, for the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.